Okay, thank you, everybody. We're gonna go ahead and get started. It's 5:16 on March 25th, and we are at Lansingburg. We have myself, Ashley, Marie, Samantha, Evelyn, and Anthony in attendance, so we have a quorum. We also have Nate Nichols joining, Sam Wise joining, and we have a number of folks on the public side. Samantha, you've got, do you mind, you're okay taking minutes on this? Okay. And as long as you have their names. Thank you. Do we have any public comment? Would anyone like to speak at this time? Feel free to put a hand raised or comments. Seeing any? I don't see anything, no. Okay. All right. So first order of business is that we are going to enter a discussion with our legal counsel, Nate Nichols. Nick Nichols.
So formal.
Okay. So I would like to make a motion to enter executive session to discuss proposed pending or current litigation. Do I have a second?
Second.
Anthony, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, motion passes unanimously. It is 5:17 p.m. What we're going to do for those of you on the public side is we're going to put you in a waiting room, and we're going to pause the recording. When we come out of executive session, we'll add you back to the room. So if you are able to hold on to the call, go ahead and do that, and we'll add you back when we can.
And you do anticipate action after the executive session?
Yes, we do anticipate action.
Yeah. Okay.
We don't want 100% sure how to do. Oh, pause, okay.
Everyone back in. Okay, we made a motion to exit executive session at 5:56 p.m. Oh, is everybody back in? Is everybody joining? Is Natali, did I say that correctly?
It looks like everybody's in who's going to be in for now.
That's still here.
Yeah.
Okay. We made a motion at 5:56 p.m. to exit executive session. Ashley seconded, all in favor. No actions were taken in executive session. Let's move to our next order of business. We are unfortunately going to exit or enter executive session again, if this passes. So I would like to make a motion to enter executive session to discuss the medical, financial, credit, or employment history of a particular person or corporation, or matters leading to the appointment, employment, promotion, demotion, discipline, suspension, dismissal, or removal of a particular person or corporation. Do I have a?
You'd like to invite Sam
Oh,
Wise and
I'm so sorry.
with us?
Yes, and I would like to invite Sam Wise and Nate Nichols to join with council. Okay. Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, Sam, it is 5:59 p.m.
Roll call.
I will, all those in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes unanimously. We're gonna put anyone still on, back into the waiting room, and when we come out of executive session, we will let you know. We'll put you back in. Okay, where are they? Okay, did everybody? Okay, good. We exited executive session at 6:22 p.m. Evelyn seconded, motion passed unanimous, or all in favor. There is one action that we need to take. I would like to make a motion to authorize the president of the board of trustees, myself, or their designee to take all necessary steps to finalize an agreement between employee TF and the library subject to board review. Do I have a second? Evelyn, all those in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes unanimously. Thank you. And if you need that language, let me know and I'll share it. Or did you get
I think I have it, but I'll confirm it with you anyway.
Great, thank you. All right, next agenda item. We're going to discuss the day-to-day operations due to the current absence of the executive director. We have a number of items that are starting to come up, and we need to discuss how we will be navigating this. sorry, I'm gonna hide some columns here and look at this larger sheet that we've put together. We need to do a few things. We need to authorize a signatory, for the bank, correct?
I don't think we need to do that. It's in our, either our fiscal policy or our bylaws,
Okay,
that the president is the third signature.
so that's okay. So then the next question is the signatory for contracts. Things that a director would typically sign for, such as,
HBO,
yeah, Gilded Age, that's coming up. Insurance renewals are coming up. We'd have a number of those. We have, contracts for work for, various construction projects. Yes, and I don't think that Lindsay is, currently in a position to authorize or sign for that. So who would we like to put in that position?
Everybody's quiet.
I know, wow.
Well, I mean, the natural thing would be to have the board president. but
I'm
we-
happy to do it unless someone else wants to volunteer.
Okay, you'd like to do it, so I was only,
Oh,
I didn't want to add another thing to the plate, but if you're willing to do it.
If you guys are okay with that, I'm okay to be that person, but I think the question I would have is, review. This is the question of authorizing for signature versus authorizing for approval and review of those documents.
Would they go to the attorney anyways, some of these?
That's a good question.
some of those could be, I guess the only thing that comes up though is if you are. Potentially signing, you might then have to recuse on the vote after the fact or before the fact. No, I guess if you're. Talking with the board beforehand, but then you're basically signing after the authorization from board, you should be okay. Because any contract will be approved for the board anyway, so. Most of that would be reviewed by attorneys, so yeah, it should be okay. As far as you being signatory.
Okay,
I would think if in doubt, get the board approval,
right.
so that you're covered.
And that, should that be in, here's my question, is that something that is subject to meetings or would that go because it's an operational item versus?
I would say it's subject to open meeting law because it's conduct of business and
I'd say if there's expenditure related.
Especially
to
if it's
it, that's-
financial, right?
It's right, so in that sense, many of these things would have naturally had to have gone from our executive director to us for approval anyways,
Mhm.
right?
probably not. He probably wouldn't just done that.
On a lot of the like construction stuff, I could imagine there would be change orders that would come up where you guys have already authorized the expenditure, but they need to approve the change order.
Right.
Right.
So things like that would, I would say usually be okay. but-
Yeah, in your the fiscal policy says, it does authorize you as a signer. And then it says that if treasurer and president are not available to co-sign, the vice president is the next in line and then the secretary. So that's already outlined, if that needs to come up. But then it says in the yearly October organizational meeting, you determine which routine bills are authorized to be paid automatically. So then, I
That's
guess,
been done.
so you could go through that to see then what falls into that bucket.
We've done that, that's good.
Yeah.
Lindsay should know that.
Okay, yeah, so then we just maybe just remind her of that, because again, I think everyone's kind of just trying to be overly cautious.
Yeah.
So then we can establish that these are the things that, because health insurance is listed as one of those things, and so if that's part of that, we don't know, but.
Right.
Yeah, we can just verify that.
That's my questions. We're starting to get into a lot of questions around, some things that are not routine bills, but they fall below,
Thresholds.
thresholds for spending. So you've got, I'm not currently authorized to communicate to department heads and give them answers. And they're asking questions like, typically I would go to the executive director to purchase this. It's at, $150 above the threshold that an individual would have, been approved for. Can you do that? Or even if it's within a budget, they don't have individual department budgets that were allocated. So when we created the program line for them, that wasn't necessarily divvied up. My first instinct is well, let's just go divvy up the program budget so that you all have an allocated amount, you know what those thresholds are, and they can make those purchasing decisions with Lindsay, and they don't have to come to us for things that are small, right? We were getting a question as an example last week about, a pantyhose or a box. So I'm just, I need to know where to go with it and whether we have the ability to direct the department heads to make those decisions.
What's this policy say on small day-to-day expenditures?
That's what I was gonna ask. I'm looking at it. Is the current policy the 2022?
Did you find it on the about page?
No, I'm looking in our drive. I should just look at the website.
Yeah, look at the one that's in the
It
website.
is November 8th, 2022.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's probably the right one, but I'll do that anyway.
That's anti-fraud. This. Purchasing, okay. Only the director, business manager, or other agents as designated in writing by either of those two may commit the library for purchases. The responsibility of each department head to secure appropriate bids or to investigate alternative suppliers for the most economic.
It's number two.
Purchase.
All eligible staff may purchase goods that value $4.99 or less. Department heads are responsible for establishing and updating procedures for the proper and cost-effective document of purchases. Proper documentation to support the expenditure must be sent to the business office manager prior to the receipt of the monthly statement. And then it goes into what documentation to include. I just don't think they've seen the policy or are fully aware of it from what I can understand. And so my perspective is I think we just need to read the policy and make sure they're aware of it. And I don't know if I'm asking for authorization to read the fiscal policy of the department heads.
Well, I think part of the issue is you have a policy, you don't have a procedural document for staff to refer to.
Right.
And so
It says purchasing procedure within the policy, but you're still saying.
you don't have a procedural document.
Right.
Calling it a
Ah,
procedure doesn't make it a procedure.
Gotcha,
The
gotcha.
procedure is, this is the policy, and this is how we this is how we execute the policy.
For purchasing.
And so there needs to be this is the
Internal.
form that you send in, like the expense approval. This goes in that, Lindsay approves it, boom, and now we've got the filing and now you do that, whatever. So that's what you need to do, and that would be a run-of-the-mill HR task.
I wonder if there was something internal that we just never saw as a board. But that,
Yeah.
I'll go back to Paul, that.
Uh,
And there must
Sure,
be
we don't.
something, they spend money, they bring back a receipt,
Yeah,
and
there
there's
must
some
be.
process.
Might have had something.
Who's your auditor?
Curious.
So right now the auditor is MB Co, and that's actually a secondary thing. The request is, can we pause on the audit just for right now? If we need a 1 month pause to start the audit, is that okay? We don't have to make a motion to, because we had already made a motion to engage with them, but we did not make a motion on when to start. So, but I have staff asking, can I not do that right now? Because they're also trying to do the statistical report and.
Yeah,
And there's no director.
Right.
At this time to work on with that.
Because I asked because it says that the auditors will basically determine what that policy is going to be
For the fiscal?
for the purchasing, right?
Yeah, we can review that. You also have the training coming up, and we were going to update the fiscal policy anyways, but we need to work with what we have for the moment.
Yeah, so the auditors might know what that procedure is supposed to be.
And Lindsay probably also
Yeah.
knows, I don't, the procedure that's followed, like I've seen initials on the invoices and things like that, so.
Yeah, so I can connect with Lindsay, get clarity on what has been happening.
We need to talk about that first. So I hear what you're saying, but we need to talk about that. Can we move to that subject for a second and then revisit what you're saying?
Whatever you want.
Okay. We allocated $20,000 for HR professional services for 2026. We are currently, after the upcoming invoice, at $21,000. So we have already exceeded our annual budget for HR. I don't know where you stand fully yet. I think we were at at least 30% of the annual budget for legal prior to this month's invoice. So we're probably gonna be at 50 to 60%.
Some busy, right?
and more coming. So the question now is, I hear what you're saying, I would love for you to do that, but we have already run out of that budget, and we have you engaged in so much, and we've instructed the staff to go to you as a point of contact, and
I'm sorry about her.
That's okay.
Is this still executive session?
No.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Do you want to know? All right, so there's.
Yeah, just-
Yes.
I want.
So-
How's it going?
Hey, gratitude.
Thank you.
you're welcome, thank you.
You want me to bring your foot out? Okay.
I can see how we can work on that. If you want me to.
I can't hear you. You'd be happy to work on, what was it?
Determining what the current procedure is. So that Sam doesn't have to do that.
Would you do that with Lindsay? Okay, that's where I think
Definitely.
Lindsay might already have something
Yeah,
that we're just.
definitely.
Okay. So Sam understood, could we have you, would we want review of that, not ownership of that?
I mean, it's like a 10-minute thing,
I know,
but it's fine, whatever you wanna do.
It wouldn't hurt me to know what it is, either,
Yeah,
Sam.
yeah.
Yeah, and can I just ask from the policy and governance committee side, it would be helpful to know what the existing practices are, because we need to update this policy. In order to do that, I'd like to know what everyone's been doing. So if you could share that with me too, I would like, that would be very helpful, and then I can help, because I have the need for it staged in the policy tracker on its own tab, knowing these are the things that are coming up during this transitional period. And so the more information we have, the easier it's going to be able to do that. Does that make sense?
yeah, I think you're gonna, I hear you, it's the fiscal policy stuff that you're gonna work on after training in collaboration, I think, with Lindsay, because no matter what, it's gonna have to be supported by staff. And then you're saying that from a policy and governance, you just wanna be informed of it or aware or part of it.
Yeah, because it's a policy.
I know, but it's the fiscal policy, which we already said Marie was gonna work on, so I hear what you're saying, but Marie's specifically working on it with Lindsay, so I just wanna know where you're.
But does it not need to come out of the policy and governance committee ultimately?
It was with finance committee, but it's a good question. It's a.
That's my question.
It's
If you don't
policy
need it,
no
then-
matter what, so no matter what, it should go through there, it should go through both committees for review,
Right.
but it has to start there. That's what we already determined.
Well, but I thought we were talking about working with Lindsay to determine what the procedures are.
Right. We're talking about many things. So, the fiscal policy does need to be updated separately. Are you talking about procedure right now? You two, is that what you're asking about, is the procedure and what they're gonna do internally? That you wanna be aware of?
I think it's just good information for us to have, to know what folks are doing and what they've become accustomed to doing, because I think it ultimately can inform the policies that we create. And so that's all I'm saying, is knowing a little bit more about what's happening is just helpful. Not that I need to act on it, or not that you need to act on it, but we should know.
What could that look like? And my question would be, the procedures that the staff puts together, have we ever seen them? And is there an SOP somewhere?
Remind me what is the.
Yeah, what's an SOP?
Yeah.
SOPs are standard operating procedures.
Oh, okay.
When I show up, back in my day, my first job I ever had, they said, here are your SOPs, and plopped a folder this big of all procedures. And I'm gonna guess there is not a binder of all internal procedures, which makes it very difficult for us to support that from a policy perspective.
Yes.
So again, we are not authorized to do anything operational.
Right.
But I think that that's essential, because we need something here, and we can go to Lindsay and say, at this point, can you start to work on gathering those procedures so that we can marry them? Because if we're gonna do policy work here, it has to be in alignment with procedure. And I'm very concerned that right now we have some procedures getting made with policy assumptions, having never gone to us. So that law enforcement policy is an example, a procedure rolled out without policy support, which made assumptions of policy that didn't exist and did not run through legal, HR, or board review. So we do need to work closely, and we can't pretend that they're in silos. Is that okay? Like, we need, again, this is an authorization thing, like, do I need to make a motion to say, does the board authorize me as the board president until the point of an interim director to tell Lindsay to start working on gathering the procedures so we can see them? I don't know.
Mhm.
I think that's just, we have to talk more about specifics and who's doing what. How about this? Let's just ask Lindsay, and then again, the people kind of HR thing where as the business manager, if we need to look at her job description. Sorry, I'm going all over the place right now. The staff is acting outside of their job descriptions in many cases. So you have people taking on roles and responsibilities that they should not be taking on. I want the board's authorization to work with HR, which would require us to go beyond our budget to sit down with staff, at least at the department head level, which is where we're really seeing this, to say, what is your job description? What responsibilities should you be doing or not doing? And we need to know what that looks like, because I think in some cases, the amount of responsibilities hitting people amount to a potential full-time role that needs to be hired, or something that needs to be contracted, or it starts to get into potential areas of risk and safety. Sam, tell me if I'm saying anything that you would say otherwise.
And grievances, if any of these people are within the bargaining unit and you're having them do work outside of their job description, that's grievable.
Yeah, absolutely. So my question is, we need to do that. We have to sit down with them. And again, I'm not authorized to do that, but you got people right now that are doing things they should not be doing. And nobody's sitting down with them and telling them not to do that. But we also don't have a solution for those. We need to come up with a solution for some of these problems.
I did do that with the one that we were most concerned about, the bargaining team member that we had discussed previously. So I did advise that person that they needed to, that I understood that they were being helpful and that they were following instructions, but that they would not be getting those instructions any longer, and that they were allowed to only do their job. So I did talk with that person.
I have a naive question. Are we talking about a civil service job description or a functional job description?
I don't think it's a naive question at all. So my understanding is the current job descriptions are just what was with civil service. They're just old and outdated.
Usually the case.
Yeah, and so my understanding, because the library, because this is the only library in Troy's commission, that basically the library then, like, it's not like for Albany County or something where maybe there's other different form, what, it's like, it's just y'all. So
Yep.
my understanding is that then you just have the ability to say, these are our proposed changes to the job descriptions. And then you just submit them.
Well, then civil service has to go through this whole process, so it just, is subject to approval, and then it goes up to state civil service and all that fun stuff.
So we are talking about the civil service description.
Yeah, and then there'd be in-house titles potentially, and in-house work that would be done, because most of the job descriptions will always say other necessary duties as required.
So because we're asking to go over HR budget and the board to act outside of typical roles.
Yeah.
I was thinking along the lines of how urgent is this? And it seems pretty urgent. I'm wondering, would this not sound like an accurate description of it is urgent to make sure that employees are not acting outside their roles? It is less urgent to readdress the descriptions of their roles. And submit those changes to civil service.
And determining continuity purposes would be something, because that's what I was saying earlier. There are things that are being done and then they're just not being done anymore. That's, what do we do about that?
I'll give an example. Boiler.
Mm.
I don't know what to do, because I just found out that we have 3 staff members, our head of CERC, our community engagement specialist, and our business manager going down into the basement, relieving 2 valves every single day and taking a bucket of boiling hot water with no gloves and dumping it into a drain in the basement floor. I was not aware that this existed as a job function. Apparently, our former directors, the former director, like Paul, and then, our current, acting director, uh, were doing it, but for the last 3 months, it's now transferred with a log to the others. It is not within their job description. There's no safety equipment, and I can tell them to not do that, but that can't happen because then the boiler is gonna, I don't know, I don't know what happens when the boiler doesn't have the relief that it needs. So, I'm sorry. It is an old boiler. I understand from having talked to Lisa at TAP that it is a situation where she believes something is broken and needs to be looked at because she had an older boiler that needed this occasionally, but then it got addressed and fixed. She has advised us to contact Stance. We're about to go into facilities and physical infrastructure, talk to Stance, the company that maintains it. I understand they were contacted recently and said our boiler's in pretty good shape. Did they know that we're having to do this on a daily basis? Because that doesn't feel like pretty good shape to me. There's also a pipe that is where the water falls out of that could easily be retrofitted with another pipe so that you do the valves, but you aren't manually carrying a bucket.
Can I ask, was maybe a stupid question, how would a technician who comes out that has to service it not know that this is happening? Even by their basic inspection?
I don't know.
Well, because they were draining the water every day. There's no
Yeah,
pressurized water because it's been drained every day, so then he doesn't have the opportunity to see, oh, why is the pressure so high?
yeah, I mean, it could be that if they only see it when they come out, they don't see that there's a problem because nobody told them that it's being let every day, but I don't know why you wouldn't mention that.
Or maybe it wasn't even a problem that they had to flush it out to begin with, and it just was done.
Well,
Were job descriptions part of the cultural assessment?
We touched on duties, right? Yeah.
Yeah, just kind of talking about, yeah, like, are there the usual questions that I would ask, which is, are there things that you do that aren't reflected in your job description, from the standpoint of like, yeah, I don't know that anyone knows that this is a new part of our job that we do. Like, people always ask about, this thing and we just haven't, right? Now it's a new thing that is part of our jobs versus then are there things that you're doing that you don't, like, you're like, I don't think that that's my job. So yeah, those questions are in there, so we can get a little more info for that. I do have a potential proposal for a cost saving solution for the cultural assessment. And if everyone will be happy to hear those words come out of my mouth.
Cost savings, yes.
Yeah, which you just remind me, we can keep moving forward, you tell me when.
Cultural assessment, cost savings, I'm taking a note. I do want to hear that. I think that I didn't put the order correctly. We should have talked about the interim director first because we need an acting director and a lot of these responsibilities where I'm going, we need authorization. I don't want to live like this. The staff doesn't want to live like this. Nobody wants to be here. So, I think it's really important that we think about the interim director and how we're proceeding with that ASAP so that we can find someone and have them in that position so that we spend the least amount of time possible assuming responsibility for operational tasks as standing board members.
Agreed.
So is that okay to talk about that first?
Yes,
And then we'll go right back.
tabling this discussion.
Okay, table this discussion. So on the interim director side, we need to talk about what that looks like. There have been a couple of options proposed. One is that we have an interim director who is hired. Another is that they are contracted. So it's hired versus contracted. The other is it an interim director, executive director, or is it an assistant director?
Assistant to whom?
The non-existent executive director right now.
Whoever will fill
The
the
ghost
role.
director, no.
I think the question is whether we see that as a position that we want to hire for short-term to stabilize until we can conduct any other future actions that I'm not going to discuss right now.
And with the long-term idea, just generally speaking, of basic succession planning.
Yes, which we knew we needed an assistant director. We know that because, from an administrative perspective, there's a lot of work to be done. And I think that we've talked previously about wanting the executive director to potentially be more outwardly focused and an assistant director who could be more internal. And when looking at these job responsibilities, again, you have people kind of working outside of their positions, we really need to have someone to capture certain tasks.
So
That,
the advantage of the assistant director would be that they could be permanent
yes,
when an executive director. Well, after the interim, director is not here.
Although if we are contracting them, which my understanding is that that is basically to bypass civil service requirements, then
Right.
it gives us, as I understand it, then more flexibility that if we did want to keep them on in the assistant director role, and that's something they were open to, nothing would prevent us from hiring as them into that role
yeah.
at the
Yeah,
end
that's a
of
good point.
their term, right?
I would say I am most liking the contracted interim director.
Yeah.
That's where I'm leaning.
Same.
Okay.
Yeah, I feel the same way, and then it gives us more flexibility. The only reason I think I would lean against it is if there were candidates who would be less inclined to take that role versus something that does have the civil service.
Right, and I guess the issue that you're gonna run into potentially if you're going civil service route is if there's an active list or anything like that, because I don't know why the executive director position is competitive, but it's competitive,
Right.
which is not,
Mhm.
that's not on you guys, that's just civil service. I don't know why it's competitive. You can seek to make it a non-competitive for exempt position.
Because that's the norm in other,
I would usually see it as non-competitive for exempt, yeah.
like in other counties and
A lot
municipalities.
of other places, yeah.
Got it.
It would be mostly exempt, you hire who you want, and you're not going off a
This
list.
is Trez's special place.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm sorry, are we saying, an interim director that would be contracted with the potential of hiring at the conclusion of the contract?
Yeah.
Is that something that people normally are agreeable to?
Yeah, I mean, I think it depends. Let's think about it this way. And when we say that we're looking for someone, some names have been floated. I have a call out to somebody that we were gonna talk to for advice, counsel. They can help us in that search. But they themselves are a retired former director. So would they be willing to do that role? Right? They may not want to be hired, but they may be willing to do it for a certain period of time. Or you might find someone that, I'm curious if we have folks that are currently serving as a director at certain libraries around the area who are part-time or something, right? Maybe they could give a certain amount of time. I have no idea why someone would apply or would want to. Would it be a proposal for this role if it's contract? I mean, would it be an RFP? What would we put out?
So for that, it could be viewed, I'd have to look at the fiscal policy, but there's generally exceptions for specialized roles. And so if you're looking for like an attorney, that's usually viewed as a specialized role, things like that.
Yeah, this is attorney, architect, engineer, land surveyor are the examples, but it says professional services which involve specialized expertise, use of professional judgment and or high degree of creativity. So, I mean, I think, yeah, if you're hiring like an
Consultant.
executive level consultant, so it would be a high level of specialized expertise.
Mhm.
And in the same time, you could potentially win a civil service tenants for the executive director to be put on the exempt list. So I'm looking at the commission's list right now and like the executive director of Troy Housing Authority is an exempt position. So, it might be time to maybe consider that as well.
I
In case
also,
something comes up.
I'm sorry.
Oh, sorry.
I also just wonder in terms of pay for a contractor versus an employee, what that would look like, if it would be worth having a contracted employee or someone contracted versus employing them.
So,
Benefits are
as
something that.
yeah, I was gonna say earmuffs for you.
Oh.
Depending on what they do, they're not going to bill us probably like an attorney at an hourly rate. If it's a contract position like that, there would be an agreed upon amount that might be comparable to a salary.
Mhm.
So is that what you're asking, or more of the benefits of things?
Well, I mean, the benefits are part of it, but
Okay.
yeah, just generally.
Yeah, you probably enter into, yeah, like it would be like a temporary. Like it would be like, we're hiring you from this date to this date, and then you put in language if there was like, if we need to extend or something like that, but it would be, yeah, so then you would just, like, you process it, and they like bi-weekly payroll.
Mhm.
But you just, yeah, it's just, they're just the 1099. So, yeah, so you can still approach it less, like Maria's saying, less from the professional services billing. So that you have like a consistent, you know, what the budgetary expense is gonna be.
With like, we could have hours not to exceed, or we can, you know, it depends, on how we write that, right? So, okay. Do we want to make a motion to pursue that as an option, or are we at a point where we would want to pursue that, or does anyone still want to talk about what those options are?
So when you say that among the three different or whatever, different approaches,
Yeah,
I would leave it open because I can see where somebody might want to be an employee because they get the retirement benefits.
Mm.
On the other hand, someone who has been an employee and is retired may want to avoid being an employee because they can only earn a certain amount.
35,000.
Is it still that low? Wow.
35.
Yeah.
but we have to, for certain paths, we would have to post, if we go down the job side, we have to post it, and we have to go through civil service. So we would be committing to that. So we can't, we either say, okay, let's leave it informal, go to the people that we would like, see what they want, and then come back and then authorize that.
Have to.
Right, so is it a search process right now? Yeah.
Can you start with the private approach first and if
Multiple
that,
options that kind of bleed into each other. I mean,
and then go to another next step if that doesn't work out? And that way we've,
I don't, yeah.
I think we maybe, if we're all on board with the idea, explore what candidates are out there in the contract position, and then if that doesn't yield anything, then
or if you find somebody you want to talk to, like you're possibly talking to someone, and you go, this is what we are thinking about, and give them the options and see what they want. And then go from there. If that doesn't work out with those people, then you have to go through civil service because that is your only,
Well,
indeed
yes,
ain't gonna work.
I think the question too becomes whether you guys would be thinking of it as a short-term solution, long-term solution.
Right.
Are the short-term solutions the same as the long-term? Or are they two distinct things? I
And
think is really the question.
I keep thinking of it as no less than 3 months, probably. And more reasonable to say 6 with potential overlap, which I think, Sam, we talked about the need for, because you would want to hopefully. I don't know, and I think that the time frame is too short otherwise.
If you're thinking of 6 months, then it's best not to go through civil service because that is there. If you bought it, you buy it. And that's, I mean, if you hired it, you bought it and that's it. That's their limit. You can't go over 6 months. Unless there's some roundabout way that they don't want to talk about.
Well, if there's no list, you could do a provisional appointment until such time as they have a list. So
But
we'll have to see if there's a list.
and if we contract, there's no saying that we can't go through civil service at some point and make it a full time. It depends on how things work out for those first months with, any given individual. It might be,
Could we say that between now and the next board meeting, that people will have a time, opportunity to explore, and then we can make a decision at the board meeting, where we want to go from there?
Can I impress upon all of us the level of urgency that we have? And let me very quickly go down the list of director dependent actions that department heads have helped prepare along with Sam and I. We need to look at the audit and start that, even if we're postponing it by 1 month.
Is this a list you can all look at or?
Yeah. Yeah, let me add everyone to it right now.
Yeah, I just want to read along.
Let me add TPL boards, because then you'll, are you guys on TPL board or board trustee at, which one is it?
I thought it was the board.
TPL board,
what do you do? I'm not.
you're in it? Way to be different, no, I'm just kidding. See if I have one. Tell me your names, Ashley, roll call, Samantha, Marie,
it's making us grow.
Louis. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. All right, sorry. Like duckies, I need to make sure. Okay, that's like everyone. Yeah.
Got it.
We've got the annual statistical reports, that is technically due by 4/1. So that is mostly complete, department heads are reviewing, the board will need to approve before sending. We need to authorize bank transfers, orders over $500. We've got, director and board insurance renewal. That has been extended, here, let me expand this. You guys can see some columns that we put in here for due date, that's technically due by, I think it's 3/31. They extended us, but have been contacting us to please send that, otherwise we were going to lose the officer's insurance. They gave us an exception of 1 month to renew. Guardian life insurance renewal needs to happen, so we need to hire for the custodian and the head of cert positions and onboard them. The team is working on that. And we have a hiring committee for each position. Sam, you're taking on custodian. Carrie, Kaylee, and Lori are working on the head of CERC. But those candidates will need to be narrowed down. Questions are getting circulated, and then there will need to be approval of them, depending on who is recommended. We also have the Tonko grant. That is a separate deliverable. Patrick has already informed us that there's a 1-page project update rather than that other HUD. There had been a question about what needed to be submitted by when. We have a little bit more wiggle room than we thought. There's the LSTA grant for printing services, the Friends grant for summer reading. There's a proposal from staff for Saturday hours at Lansingburg and wanting to reduce or cut them. That will be coming to us based on staffing levels and not being able to service fully both buildings on a Saturday right now. Environmental testing quotes, we're about to go into facilities committee. We know that we need to get environmental testing at both locations, and someone needs to go through to contact someone for the quotes. We could maybe authorize Lindsay to do some of that, but she wouldn't have been doing that entirely on her own before. We need to follow up with them, define the scope of work, provide a recommendation to the board, and look at the final selection process. We have the basement floor quotes for the hole in the floor at Main, the DLD roof grant closeout, the Lansingburg plaster repair and paint quotes. We got 1 in, but we have more that need to come in. We need to ensure the onboarding of the Lansingburg branch manager and adult services. Kaylee and Lori need to make that switch fully, and they need to be authorized to basically communicate with each other. I won't go into details there, but say that they just need more support in making that transition happen and communicating. We need to clarify again roles and responsibilities for at least department heads. We need to look at the boiler duties. We need to look at who is going to attend meetings. And what I mean is that there are a number of meetings that are maybe private meetings that the public has scheduled for after hours at the libraries, because Tim was going to do that. If we do not have a director available to keep the building open and close it. We've already had 2 meetings this week where we had to re-navigate someone's schedule and ask a department head to stay late so that they could then close. So that is a trade-off on other hours of their day and probably not within their responsibility. We have to look at the DRI grant. We need to look at an updated employment application. Sam's actually already done that. We have to look at Lansingburg roof quotes. We have to look at time approvals for all the department heads. Who's approving their time off? Who are they communicating to? I'm getting texts from people going, hey, I'm gonna be out sick today, or I need to work from home. Where does that go? And am I authorized to say, cool, and I don't even know the procedure in terms of documentation. PTO, work from home, same thing here. I think there's a duplication. Patron bannings. At the moment, you know, who is authorized? The department heads are authorized to ban up to only 1 week, but not beyond. So that does need approval depending on scenarios. Gilded Age, City of Troy, the filming timing and contract negotiation, the YWCA MOU, the Hanover insurance renewal, the Hanover legal claim that is currently happening, and we are holding on doing a video walkthrough for our insurance agents because they need to collect that, because someone, yeah.
Yeah, preparation of what they would need to be looking at for any future hearings and things like that.
And Nate and I didn't want to do that until, again, someone like me is authorized to go and do that, or someone else on the board. Professional services, budget overage, we just talked about, DLD construction portal. This list is growing by 5 to 10 things per day. So we can wait until the next board meeting, 2 to 3 weeks from now. But I am cracking because I'm a volunteer and I am not sleeping. And the amount of money that we are hemorrhaging between Sam and Nate and me to have conversations about every one of these subjects. I think we needed the legal and the HR support no matter what. But what we're doing is not effective cost-wise. We have blown our budgets out. It's going to get worse, not better. And we need an interim director, not in 3 weeks, we need them next week. So we cannot postpone. We cannot sit here and say, well, let's think about it. I think we need to be willing to call a special meeting to get someone in if we think they're the right person sooner rather than later. And we owe it to the staff for that, and we owe it to ourselves because we are not in a position to handle these situations. And using that legal claim as an example, I am already feeling completely out of my depth when it comes to basic requests. When Hanover sent to us, oh, can you also verify this patron? I went to the head of CERC and said, hey, can you verify this? And they said, no, because that's a library records request, which has to do with privacy of a patron. And that's actually illegal and we can't do that. And I went, well, I don't know anything about this, do I? I'm not qualified to make that decision. You were very kind in saying, actually, I don't think that's the situation here and why. But we need someone who is an expert in library world. I don't know the word for it.
Yes.
Yep, librarianship.
Yes.
I tell you what, that person would know.
They would know. They would know. I am not it. I'm not a library director. There's a reason that we hire qualified library directors. And we can pretend, but I think it's a disservice to the staff and the community if we pretend for very long and it starts getting some serious risks and issues.
So, point of information, with regard to the statistics for specifically, if I remember correctly, we approved it effective 4/1, allowing that, that there would be changes. So I don't think we do need to take any action on that.
Wait, which one was it?
The statistics report.
We did. So they just need to, let's see, mostly complete department heads reviewing. I think the board will need to approve before sending. I put on here, need to confirm if we already authorized this. We did.
We did.
Thank you.
We authorized.
We're authorized.
Yeah.
Okay, we're authorized to submit. She just needed to know if she could submit it, and I didn't want to tell her yes.
One thing off the list already.
Phone call.
Yeah.
One down, 31 to
You
go.
can take a look at it afterwards. We
Yeah.
authorized it with a date of 4/1, knowing that there would be some changes.
Okay, so authorized to submit per board approval. Okay.
But the AFR is due.
What would you think?
The annual financial report is due.
That's different. Yeah, so that's where Lindsay's going. I can't do the statistical report, the audit, and the financial report.
Where's your auditor at?
Hasn't started, but about to. That was the question. We've engaged them, but they haven't started yet.
What's your guess? Have they been seeking extensions if they need to?
Yeah, but we're not in that. We got ahead of it this year
Okay.
because it was so late last year. So I think it's summertime. What's the due date for the audit?
I think they were supposed to start around April 15.
But what's the due date? When do we want to have it finalized? I think by July at the latest, right?
East Greenbush does theirs in January. I think,
Everyone's ear is weird, yeah.
I don't think there's a specific due date. I think it's as early as possible so you can get the most benefit out of whatever feedback they have.
Were we doing it in summertime last year?
Probably.
I feel like it was, yeah, but that's why we wanted to engage
Because Lindsay
sooner.
didn't come until May, right?
Exactly. And we had a lot to clean up, so, it got kicked out last time. It's not a, yeah. Delay.
But can we kick it, and that's the obvious question, when is the APR due?
When is what?
What is it, the annual financial report, whatever you just said?
The AFR.
It was due, we got an extension. You're gonna ask me when the extension is for, and I don't
I
remember.
feel like I remember it being mentioned that it was either April 1st or mid-April.
It's not mid-April.
Okay, well, April 1st was a date specifically notated, but then it was qualified by mid-April, so.
I'm gonna put a tag and ask Lindsay to give us the deadline on it.
Yeah,
Or I can, it's probably on my calendar, but that's not. I can get through the date because I got the extension.
Thank you. Okay. We also have just giant questions around like the Schwab account and some other stuff, so, just before we get into the day-to-day, we've got, staff asking questions around like time. You know, someone's hours went down here, someone else, we wanna maybe give hours to here, but when we're looking at the budget and where we're at, do we wanna look at that as a cost savings and not do that? And if we did, would it go to that person or someone else? These are huge operational questions that I'm not in a position.
Scheduling right now.
Department heads are doing scheduling, but that begs the question, who's reviewing the schedule of the department heads
Right.
and setting that? And are we allowed, how about work from home policy and authorization?
So with regards to the larger question, I don't think we should wait. I don't think anybody was suggesting that we should wait. I mean, I think the only suggestion of waiting was that if we don't get anybody
Okay,
in a search for someone for a contract position, that we would then potentially
Right.
approve an action to list the position through civil service and go through that process. But I think we should act immediately in terms of identifying candidates. And yeah, if somebody is willing and seems like they're a good candidate, you know,
and yeah, and I agree, and that's the question I have next, which is like,
Right.
who's holding that, who's acting, looking for, like, what will that look like? Cause I think I'm very concerned about things just sitting with you.
oh, no, yeah.
So if like, so that's
we
why,
need a committee or what's
right, what's the plan?
Yeah, what action we need to take tonight.
And I guess the other question before we go there is wanting to assure, like. I'm losing my words, wanting to ensure that everyone's on the same page with that, or where's everybody at?
I'm in
Has-
agreement.
Yeah.
What,
Okay,
now?
like with what Anthony just said, like, that we move. Okay,
Yeah, oh, yeah.
Okay,
Yes.
Can I would like to talk about one option that was proposed to us,
okay.
and,
Does this need to be executive?
yes, it's an option that has to do with a particular person and their employment or appointment. So I want to know if y'all are willing to do another executive session.
It is
Be
appropriate.
the reluctant. Okay.
I just to note that it's 7-11 if we are gonna do the buildings with the 8 o'clock hard stop.
Reschedule that one.
Can we
Is it
end this in
necessary?
18 minutes here? We're getting very close and do
Okay.
building in 30.
Sure.
Is that possible? Okay, okay. So I would like to make a motion to enter executive session to discuss the medical, financial credit or employment history of a particular person or corporation or matters leading to the appointment, employment, promotion, demotion, discipline, suspension, dismissal, or removal of a particular person or corporation at 7:12 PM. Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Sorry. Yeah, thank you.
Do we have anybody else on the?
Yeah,
It's still being had one.
Just thank you.
Yeah, we'll figure that.
Okay, we entered executive session or exited executive session at 8:24 PM. Evelyn seconded, all in favor. We do have some actions. I would like to make a motion to authorize 3 designated board members, Rhea, Ashley, and Samantha, to engage in a search for an interim or assistant director to bring back to the board as a recommendation for short-term employment or a contract position. Do I have a second?
Second.
Samantha, all those in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes unanimously.
All right, and now I would like to make a motion to authorize the president of the board or their designee to handle emergent operational issues until the time of the appointment of an interim director. Do I have a second? A second. All those in favor? Aye.
Excusing myself from that. That's fine. Okay.
The motion passes 6-0 when refusal.
Yes. Okay,
That's math.
thank you. All right, date of the next board meeting is April 14th at 5:30 PM. I'd like to make a motion to adjourn, at 8:26 PM. Do I have a second?
Second.
Anthony, all those in favor?
Aye.
Wonderful. All right, that meeting's over. We have one more to do. How are you?
I have question before I leave, because you don't need me, I'm not on this committee.
Can
I
we pause that recording as we're gonna have to go into the building meeting?
wanted to start that one. I brought the tech,
Stop it, exit.
I brought the tech, the library doesn't open till 9, right? 9 tomorrow?
The main line.
Yes. Oh, okay, so I